Welcome back to the workshop. Glad you're joining me again. And let me apologize, I haven't put a video up in a while, and it's because I haven't been able to record for a while. Actually been pretty under the weather, pretty sick actually the last couple of weeks, so I haven't done anything in the workshop. I've got a couple of things that have been here for a while, so I'm feeling a little better, so I thought I'd get a jump on getting those done and make a couple of videos around those. I've got some hot tea with some honey in it. Hopefully keep me from coughing too much and all that during the video. Hope everybody had good Thanksgiving and all that kind of good stuff. On the bench today, I've got a Fender Kingman. It's an acoustic bass. And it needs some help. It's not set up really well at all. Advantage, we've got pretty high beefy saddle here, so hopefully we can do something about the string action, which is ridiculous. It is, let's see, if I read the ruler correctly, at the 12th fret, we are sitting at 12, get that, 12 64s, boys and girls, on the bass side, and about 10 64s on the treble side. So we are way up there now. This bass belongs to a guy, and he plays pretty hard. He started playing bass on a stand-up bass, so he pulls pretty hard. So we're going to try to get that 12 down to about 7, 8-ish on the bass side, and maybe 6 to 7 on the treble side, because he likes a little bit higher action anyway, but this is really out there. The first fret action is, I like to have about 18 thousandths there, and here's my 18 thousandths feeler gauge, and if I put that underneath the string, that's under there easy, and so we're going to have to address that as well. I have checked the neck relief, and on this particular, again, for this particular customer, and I'd like to have around 15 thou in the middle, and the truss rod needs to actually tighten a little bit, but it's I've got the right wrench in here, but it's not wanting to be nice to me. What I'd like to do is loosen it first, and it's pretty snug. So I think first thing, I'm just going to take some pressure off the neck, just loosen the strings just a little bit, and we're not replacing the strings, so I'm going to save those. The strings look like they're fairly new anyway, and so we're not going to be replacing those. So alright, so there's that. I've got string tension off, and I'm going to first try to loosen, and man, it is really does not want to budge. It's tight. Whew, that might be a deal breaker already. Well, I don't want to break it. I would like it to let go, though. Man, that's all right. Well, I'm gonna have to play with that a little bit. I think I'm gonna put a capo somewhere up in here and get these strings out of my way, and I'll just put the capo on kind of like that, and then I can take the strings loose down here, or take the pins, well, you can't even see, take the pins out and get the strings out of my way and get in there and try to work that truss rod, try to get it loose, to get it to loosen up and move a little bit. So some people don't realize about truss rod adjustments. Number one, you don't adjust the truss rod to raise and lower your string height. Your truss rod adjusts what happens in the middle of the neck, the straightness of the neck toward the middle of the neck. The saddle, this part right here, the saddle handles the string height. Excuse me, and the first fret action, of course, is handled by up here with the nut. But let me pause you for just a second, and then I'm going to get these bridge pins out of here and get the strings out of my way, and then see what we can do to get that truss rod to move a little bit. So I'll be right back with you. Okay, back with you. As you can see, I got the bridge pins pulled and all of that. Oh man, I got it to move. Whew. That truss rod, that's got to be one of the tightest truss rods I've ever run across. It is, man, does not want to move. I'm trying to just go back and forth. I was talking to you a little bit about truss rod adjustments. You really need to have truss rod adjusted and checked. Probably, I would say once a year would be good. Some people go a lot. This guitar has gone a long time without having the truss rod, anything done with it, really. This guitar really needs a good clean. Let me grab, while I got the strings off of it, just got an old t-shirt here. Don't throw these things away, man. And again, I apologize for the coughing and all of that, but I've been pretty much under the weather, and ended up playing a show the Saturday right after Thanksgiving, and for about 2 days, maybe 3, after I did the show, I probably shouldn't have done the show, but I did. Place was celebrating their 1-year anniversary, and I wasn't going to bail on them. But for a couple of days after that show, didn't even have voice. My wife, didn't bother her too much, but finally got my voice back. But it's it's getting rid of this cough and stuff, and has been a challenge. Those of you that dealt with any of that, finally broke down, and I did break down and go to the doctor. I hadn't been to the doctor in probably 2 or 3 years, and I had to break down and go get some drugs, and I don't know if that helped or not, but I think, finally on the mend. So, all right, we did get, and again, I just wanted to kind of clean this before put the strings back on it and start setting it up. What I am going to do before I do that is mark the saddle. Got that pulled out. So bring that up to you. There's the saddle. So we got, there's no shims in there. And it's a beefy saddle. And so if you remember, the 12th fret, we had 12 and 11 64s. And I'd like to be around 8 and 7, really, for this guy. Listen, that's still high. If I was setting it up for me, I'd probably do maybe 6 and 5, maybe even 5 and 4, if I'm setting it up for myself. But I'm not. I got to keep in mind who I'm setting up for. So let me do that. Probably should go ahead and clean and oil the fretboard too. It looks a little on the dry side. So I may move the capo up to the 1st fret. That way, get the strings out of the way so I can oil the fretboard. And there's some minor, you probably can't even pick it up on the video, but right in this area, for some reason, there's some really minor kind of scratches in the finish. And then down here, there's a, not even in the camera, man, tell it's been a while since I've done this, right in through here. So I may use a little bit of the semi-chrome polish, see if I can get rid of that too. So let me grab, as most of you know, I'm a fan of this semi-chrome polish. It does pretty well. I did do a video when I was doing the Triumph, the Epiphone, that I still am working on, and I actually dabbed the polish out and touched it like that, and it made dots in the finish. So kind of learned my lesson with that. I'll have to go back, and I still have to go back and fix those spots, but always put the polish on the rag. And I know a lot of you already know that, of course, but again, lesson learned for me. At least it was my guitar that did it. So I'm going to try a little bit of this polish here, see if those scratches will go away. They just look like stuff on the surface, so I imagine that they'll come off of there fairly easily. Yeah, that came right off of there, so that worked really well. So that worked really well. Let me do, I did that with a towel. Go back and do another application with just a piece of a t-shirt here. And again, the semi-chrome has a mild abrasive in it. So it's pretty mild, very mild actually, but it's a really good polish. So, all right, let's see if that. All right. Looks like it cleaned up pretty well. What I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go ahead and put some paste wax. Most of you know I like to do that. I'll just show you really quickly kind of how I do that deal. And here's what I use. And I've had this can of paste wax for a long time. It's just a furniture finishing paste wax made by Johnson. And I just rub it on with a little rag here, and it's pretty much just rub it on and rub it off, but it really helps with the finish. Keeps well, in my opinion anyway, and this guy plays a lot like I do, and so it helps with cleanup of the guitar and all that kind of stuff. And I usually do sections, so I'll do this section, and then finish over there. And so I have one. I'll take one rag here, and I don't like to get the wax on the pick guard, just because I think waxes and all that can do damage and stuff to plastic. Just stuff I've seen over the years. So, all right, there's that, and then I'm going to go back to, for final buffing, just go back to a t-shirt. And that's all there is to that. It really shines up nice. So that was that section. You saw me do it. It was just really quick. You can see this guitar is in great shape, other than the setup, of course. So I'm going to finish this. I'm going to mark off what we need to take off on the saddle. So on the bass side here, we're at 12 64s, and we want to drop down to around 8. So I got to see and make sure that I can take 8 64ths, and I think there's enough material there to take that off, but I'm going to do some measuring and then mark this. I'll make a mark here to take off, and then take another mark over here because I want this side to be at 8, this side to be at 7 64s. So I'll do some measuring, make a mark there, and then I'll take it to the sander, get that buzzed off of there, and then get the strings back on and see how we made out. So pause you and take care of that, and be back with you and finish up this video. Okay, I'm back with you here, and done a couple of things. I have taken the saddle. Let's see if I can show you that. You can barely see, hopefully. Can you? The camera's not going to focus. I made a pencil line. You can, and I barely left it, and I was testing it down in there. And I don't want to take it down much more because I'm going to end up losing break angle for the strings. So he's either going to have to kind of deal with it where I've got it, or we'll really have to talk about doing a neck reset on this bass, because that's kind of where it is. To get the action, you've heard me talk about neck angle before. What I'm doing now is just wiping the linseed oil off of the fretboard and off of the bridge where I put some linseed oil on it, let it do its thing. And that looks a lot better. It really needed a drink, so that was a good thing there. Looks like rosewood. So yeah, that's a good thing there. And like I said before in my other videos, if you do happen to get any of, I use linseed oil for that. Here's what I use. Yep. I just use linseed oil. It's actually boiled linseed oil. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or not. But if you get some spots like I did where the linseed oil gets on the finish, does not hurt it at all. Just go back with a cloth and wipe it right off, and you're fine. So that's another thing that kind of gets overlooked and can be problematic. Really need to put oil at least once a year, if not twice. No more, really no more than that. Once or twice a year. What happens if you don't? And what I've seen is bridges that will actually crack through the grain, because the grain on the bridges most of the time runs across here, and it'll get a crack, and the bridge will crack and break. Alright, so again, I was successful in getting that truss rod to move a little bit, so that's a good thing. We'll be able to, it's still really, really tight, or really hard to move, but we should be able to get some good neck relief. And then the other thing, we dropped the string action here, so I'm hoping that helped here a little bit. If not, I'll deal with that as well. Again, I just tried to use the capo to help with holding the strings so I wouldn't have to stuff plugged in my way. So I wouldn't have to take the strings all the way off. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and I laid the bridge pins in the order that I took them out, so they can go back in the same holes. I do that typically with every guitar that I work on. It would be especially necessary with a guitar like this, just because of the thickness of the strings and how it affects the groove in the bridge pin. Hopefully, we made some progress on the string height. Be able to tell you that here in just a second. Put some pressure back on the strings. All right, so let's see how we did. First of all, let's do things in order, right? Let's do neck relief first. So again, capo the first fret, and then we put you on the overhead. Maybe you can see a little better. I put a capo on the first fret down there. And then I've got 15 thou here, fretting the body joint, and I check at 7th fret, usually 7, 8, and 9. I usually check in that area there. So we definitely need to, that definitely needs to be tighter, because we got way more than 15 there. So, and especially on a guitar like this, you definitely don't want to tighten things under string tension. So I've showed you how I measure. Show you that one more time. Capo the first fret, fret the body joint, 15 thou. Check. I usually check both sides. You got one truss rod, so there's not, you don't have a lot of movement, or a lot of change. You can't make a lot of change depending on if this side's right and this side's tight. You kind of have to have a balance there. So all right, how did we make out? That kind of helped the first fret action a little bit too. See how we did on the string height? We were a little high, so I may loosen the strings and tighten that truss rod just a little bit more. I want to see how we did on string height here. It's still a little high. Sorry, I'm going to get you out of the... Maybe not. Kind of... I'm going to let him play it. I don't really want to do. I could take a little bit more off the saddle, I think, and still be okay. I'm kind of looking at brake angle here over the saddle. I think I could go a little bit more and still be okay. But I'm going to have him play it. I think it's more in the range of, he's the guy that owned that, same guy owns that Ibanez bass, the dual truss rod, the blue quilted maple Ibanez bass that I worked on. Did a video on that a while back. Yeah, I think I'm going to let him play it, see how he likes it, and I can do a tweak. I don't want to get it low where he doesn't like it, because I'd have to redo a saddle. And I'm just testing it through the amp at this right now. All right, I don't think it's bad. It's a little higher than I would play it myself if I was playing bass, and I do play bass in our band. So it's a little higher than I would play it, but I think it'll be okay for him. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I'm going to let him play it, and if he wants me to tweak it at that point, if he thinks the action's still a little bit high, it's way better than it was. But if he wants me to do some more adjusting on it, I'll let him play it, and he can make the call on that. Like I said, if it was an electric bass that had the adjustable saddles, then I would just tweak them a little bit more. But with this one having the bone saddle, if I take it down too much and he doesn't like it, then I have to remake a saddle. And not that I can't do that, I'd just rather not if I don't have to. So I'm going to let him play it, make the call on it, and I think he'll be okay with it. And if not, it'll be back in the workshop. So, all right. Again, apologize for not getting videos out before now, but just been under the weather and haven't been able to do that. So let me just thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button. And thanks for joining me in the workshop and all that kind of stuff. And hope to see you again real soon. Like I said, I got a couple more things in the workshop that I'm working on, that I will be working on, and I'm going to bring you along for those. So I'll see you next time in the workshop. Thanks for watching.